Alrighty, so this is a little odd stream where time-wise, and I'm sorry that I'm late. I know I was supposed to be live at like 10:45, but you know, life happens, and I had to deal with some stuff with my kiddo, and she didn't want to get out of my room and stuff like that, so I could get ready. So, unfortunately, Fluffy isn't here. He is at work. So, if he's in the chat, cool. If he's not, he should be working. But today we're doing things a little different. It's an all signs reading, but it is not an all signs like weekly forecast or anything like that. It is going to be specifically for this period of Mercury retrograde. So, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with Mercury retrograde. A lot of people are. So what happens is when Mercury goes retrograde, meaning it goes backwards, and Mercury being the planet of things like communication and messaging, messenger and stuff like that, it's definitely a shadow period that kind of makes us get a little introspective. It's definitely like a shadow period. And if you're familiar with shadow work, then you'll realize like this is a period that things come back from the past. A lot of times it's lovers and friendships, like interpersonal relations, that kind of rear their ugly heads around, so to speak, quote unquote, not necessarily ugly as the person, but sometimes being ugly as in like, you know, it's bad residual past energy. Maybe it's a friendship or relationship that you got out of because it was just like yucky for you. And now that person's trying to come back and communicate because they miss you or something. That happens a lot during Mercury retrograde. And this Mercury retrograde particularly coincides with Venus retrograde. And we're in Mercury retrograde starting off in Aquarius, and it's going to enter into Capricorn, I believe, on the 25th. The 21st or the 25th. I believe it. So, anyway, one of those 2 days. But I should have known that we were going to have a Mercury retrograde back in December because Mercury retrograde. What's funny with retrograde is you have a pre-shadow period, which is the time before it goes retrograde, and you'll start getting the effects of that particular retrograde. And with me, when Mercury goes retrograde, I stutter a lot. And I also will sometimes have like episodes of depression because I'm thinking about the past and thinking about things that like don't really benefit me all that well. And so that kind of happened for a brief moment, and I was like, why can't I shake this funk feeling that I'm in? And I looked at my calendar and I was like, oh, we are in Mercury pre-shadow, and that explains it for me. So what I figured I would do is give us all a nice little reading to kind of help us through what might be coming our way, what we might need to work through for this particular retrograde. So yeah, see, I'm already stuttering, and that happens, and you'll see it in my future lives and stuff like that, that I will kind of trip on words and I'll stutter, and it always happens during Mercury retrograde, and it's not uncommon. It happens to quite a few people, believe it or not. So that's how I learned about it. Was somebody asked me like, do you normally stutter? And I was like, no. And they're like, you ever notice that it happens during, you know, MR? And I was like, no, I never thought of it like that. And I guess it's quite the phenomenon that it does happen to quite a few people. So if you notice me stuttering, and that's a big reason why it usually does happen. And if I don't realize that Mercury is in retrograde, when I start catching myself stuttering and I look on the calendar, when I look on my lunar calendars and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So, on we go. What are some of the things that we can do to kind of help us through Mercury retrograde? Well, a lot of what people do is they tend to kind of clean house physically. So they get rid of old stuff, go through things that no longer pertain to them, or things that they no longer want to hold on to. So that's something that you can do, is you can declutter. You can go through things and make sure that you're really, really, really paying attention to any type of messenger work, anything like that. So Your social media, please double and triple check your post before hitting send or anything like that, because the words you're saying may not be the words that come across. Also, it can definitely be misworded. You can find spelling errors, things like that. Typical things that you're like, oh my gosh, this whole sentence is just wrong. And yeah, that happens a lot during Mercury retrograde. So double check anything that you're sending out message wise. Try to avoid anything to do with, always particularly read through them as well during Mercury retrograde, or we will tend to commit to things that we normally wouldn't have, because we wouldn't have bypassed that section. We would have read a little more deeper. So contracts and contractual things are a little bit more of something you want to avoid. I always tell people, don't buy a car during Mercury retrograde because you might get screwed on that deal. But you want to pay attention to things like that. But that basically, this is a very, like I said, it's a very introspective time, and things kind of come out of the woodwork, so to speak, during this time period. So just be prepared for that. There are some crystals that people use to kind of get them through it. Hematite is a big one. I usually carry a hematite stone in each one of my pockets on both sides of me, and I kind of, when I'm feeling like extra stuttery and stuff like that, I'll rub them and stuff like that. Anything that kind of grounds you, things that help with communication, like lapis lazuli, that kind of helps with communication and helping with the throat chakra and stuff like that. So you can work with crystals. You can definitely work with clearing your energy every day. There's things like singing bowls you can use. You can use homemade aura sprays, stuff like that. Things that reset your intentions quite frequently. So that's something I do suggest, is just during this period, if you notice that things are just getting extra chaotic, you might notice that there is some old energies coming back up that you don't want, send those back out where they came, or don't respond. Cleaning. I usually run my water fountains and stuff during Mercury retrograde a little more to kind of purify things, keep things flowing. Like I said, this is just a very backward time, and it can be very difficult. And a lot of people who aren't familiar with this type of energy, or haven't had anybody explain it to them before, it might make a little bit more sense once it is. So I usually tend to post things during this time that kind of help people through this period. And some people, it doesn't affect them at all. So like I said, it's in Aquarius, and it will go into Capricorn, so it's going to garner things of the past emotionally and stability wise, but we're also experiencing a Venus retrograde, which makes us look at love and relationships a little stronger, kind of makes us realize what is actually doing good for us and what isn't, and things like that. So I decided that I was going to use two particular decks for this reading. One of them is an oracle deck, and one of them is a tarot deck. And I almost didn't use this particular tarot deck because you can no longer buy it. Like, it's no longer for sale. It was an indie released tarot deck from the 8th house. And they have a 3rd edition coming out. This is the 1st edition. It is, by all intents and purposes, my favorite edition. But it is definitely an amazing deck. It's holographic, it's beautiful, but it has to do with a lot of astrology components and stuff like that. So you can find, I did a quick search about an hour or so ago to see if there was anywhere that did carry it, and you can find a deck, you can find one of the decks on Mercari and stuff like that. But like I said, it's an indie release deck. It's the 8th house tarot. It's a very strong astrology based deck, and when I do readings with it, I get a lot of compliments. See, it really like with the 5, this is the 5 of air, so it would be the 5 of swords, but it goes into like the components of the obviously the astrology, because this says Venus in Aquarius, but it has to do with the elements and things like that, and it conjoins things, not in the sense of what the traditional tarot does. It's not based off of Rider-Waite necessarily. It is a very blended deck, but has a lot to do with the astrology components. It's just a very, very beautiful deck, and I really, really love it. But you can't buy it anymore. So You can get the third edition. I don't think the third edition is holographic, but it has the same principles. It is one of those like collage style decks where it has components of like real life photography mixed with other themes and other elements and stuff like that to create. Somebody want to handle that one for me? To create like, you know, symbolicism that you wouldn't normally find in a traditional Rider-Waite. So I'm using that as the tarot component, and I pulled the Dark Mirror Oracle out. And this Oracle deck is new. I've used it before, but it was somebody else's, a friend of mine. And I picked up one, and I've never opened it until now. I just literally opened it a few moments ago. This is a very shadow working deck, so it's going to take us back and have us really dig deep into the emotional complexities or thought processes. And we're going to kind of use this as like what we did a couple weeks ago, where I had the 3 oracle type cards and I clarified them. That's what we're going to kind of do. We're going to let this set the tone for you of what you're facing during Mercury retrograde, what's coming your way, what you'll be facing, and we'll clarify it with some tarot. Okay? So, I don't want this to be too terribly long of a stream, because normally my streams last about anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours, and those can get kind of lengthy. So I'm going to try to see if we can get this down to like an hour and 15. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, with the sign of Aries, let's find out what's coming towards you this retrograde. What do you need to be on the lookout for, or what information might be coming towards you? Alrighty. Let's get your card, Aries. Alright, there we go. So I have blinded to pain. So what this card can mean is literally that you have turned off the idea of things that cause you issue, things that cause you pain, or you're not even really considering that something might be painful to you. You're just going through the motions of things. Well, let's get some clarifiers on this and see what's kind of going on. What does this mean for you during this retrograde period? And yes, if you hear me stuttering a lot, it's Mercury retrograde, and I stutter like crazy during this time period. Alrighty. So for blinded to pain, I have 8 of Fire, which is 8 of Wands in the reverse. And that is Mercury and Sagittarius. So that definitely has to do with your communication. To me, what it looks like is you are going to be receiving communication. Communication is going to be coming towards you. You might be receiving some information about something. You've got the Hermit card. You're trying to avoid it, and that's what I think it definitely means by blinded to pain. You've got this right here. It's the Hermit. I don't know if you can see that, but right there's the Hermit card. See how he's kind of turned his back towards everything? And then you have 2 of Wands in Aries, but you have it in reverse. So what I'm seeing right here is being blinded to pain. Something or someone really hurt you in the past, and that for some reason is going to be resurfacing during this Mercury retrograde period for you. And you're really turning your back to it. You're like, no, I don't want anything to do with it. This could be a past lover, a past friend, somebody that decided they wanted to resurface in your life. This could also be in regards to something. It doesn't necessarily have to mean the person, okay? That particular person coming forward. It could just be that type of energy of people talking about them or anything like that. For some reason, something or someone is going to be coming back towards you, whether by their own admission or friends, or a circle of energy that you hang around with, and they're bringing them back up. Did you hear about blankety blank broke up with his girlfriend, da 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 da, and it's your ex, that type of energy. Or it could be like, hey, I know you haven't talked to blank, but they really want to talk to you, or I was at a party and they were asking about you. That type of stuff, that can definitely come back. But it obviously hurt you pretty substantially, because you're just like, nope, I don't want to deal with it. I don't foresee this person in my future. I don't want to carry them into my future. I literally just want to do an about face and forget they ever existed. And that's what you are literally experiencing right here. And I just want to get you some advice moving forward in this situation. If this is the best situation, is this the best outcome for you, to just kind of avoid it, or should you tackle it and get through it? If you don't handle this situation, it's going to keep resurfacing. You've got the World card in reverse. It's something, Three of Earth, so Three of Pentacles, and the Lover's card in reverse. I'm gonna almost say this is an ex. For the particular Aries that is out there, this is probably gonna be your ex. And it is somebody that literally is like, no, we have this unfinished business. And typical, very, very typical for Mercury retrograde, right? But I'm not fooling you on this one. There's the cards right there. Lovers in reverse, Three of Pentacles, and the World card. If you don't handle it, if you don't just put it to an end, put it to rest, maybe it's something that you're like, you didn't quite get. It's like when people don't get their apology and they're like, I never did hear sorry. Maybe this person's like, I need to come back and tell you sorry. And you're like, I don't want your sorry. That could very well be happening for you, Aries. And the best thing for you to do is probably to just take the sorry, tell them, I don't need your sorry, but I'm accepting it for you to move on from me, because I have definitely moved on from you. Many prayers to you, Matt, you and your wife, definitely. Everybody, if you can all say a prayer for Matt and his wife at this time, that would be awesome. But Aries, that's what it looks like you've got going on for you during this retrograde period. Look, you can definitely avoid it and just put it to no thank you, I don't even want to hear about them, I don't want to hear or entertain the phone number when it pops up or anything like that. And then, like I said, it doesn't mean that it's going to go anywhere. It doesn't mean that it's going to not come back, because it looks like it definitely will with that World card in reverse. Karmic cycle. This is somebody who isn't going to give up until they feel that they closed that door, or that you've closed the door. It could be you that owes the apology and they're showing back up. But there is going to be something that comes around for you during this retrograde period. All right. Next we have Taurus. So Taurus, what's coming towards you this Mercury retrograde period? What do you need to look out for? Let's find out. Messages for Taurus for this Mercury retrograde period. Alrighty. Naked before the stars. So what this card really has to do with is being, like it's saying, naked. You need to definitely strip yourself down. Like, no fake facade. This is definitely you coming into cosmic alignment. You becoming your naked self. Like, no, there is no barriers. But let's clarify it. Let's figure out what the message is for you during this Mercury retrograde period. All right. Cool. Okay, we have the Wheel of Fortune, we have Ace of Swords, and we have Knight of Wands, which is Knight of Fire here. Okay, so definitely what it's wanting you to do, once you get rid of all of the fakeness, we're going to be real on this live stream. Once you get rid of all the bullshit that you kind of put out there as a preface to you, you're like, no, I'm fine. No, everything's great. Yeah, definitely. I've been really taking care of myself and all that. Well, right here it's telling you, like, the fakeness, the facade, all of that, strip it down, because you know what, you've got some work that needs to happen during this Mercury retrograde period, where it's having to deal with everything about you. This is Wheel of Fortune card right here on the up front, dealing with in the planet of Jupiter. Thank you, retrograde, for making me trip on all of my words all the time. But with the Wheel of Fortune right here, it has to deal with things that prosper you. And being honest. You've got the Ace of Air or the Ace of Swords, so it's being honest with yourself. And after you complete that, after you really just essentially take off your makeup, take off your mask, take off whatever whatever terminology you want to use for it, once you strip that off, once you become real and honest and raw, and you're dealing with what that stuff doesn't mean for you. I know everybody, we put on makeup because we want to look beautiful. We cut our hair a certain way because we want to appear attractive, or to appear in alignment with something, or just in the group, or good enough, or anything like that. But once you realize it's just a haircut, once you realize it's makeup and it washes off, it's not a stable thing, it literally comes off at the end of the day. Once you realize none of those things are you, it's something that you use, it's just not you. Once you realize all that, you're going to literally hit the ground running, and you're going to be on fire when you do. These are things that are literally holding you back. Like, I know a lot of people that sit there and say, I can never leave my house unless my hair looks a certain way. I know my hair's a big old mess today, I apologize. But unless my hair looks a certain way, unless I'm dressed a certain way, I'm not good enough unless I'm driving this particular car. I'm not good enough unless I'm doing this. I'm not good enough unless I look like that. It's all BS. You're always good enough because you're good enough. Like, you don't have to keep up with the quote unquote keep up with the Joneses. You are literally who you are because you are who you are. And you definitely want to be the best you. And you definitely want to enjoy you, because what if one day we woke up and the makeup factories blew up, and what if one day we woke up and nobody could ever get a haircut again? What if one day we woke up and everybody was wearing the same white smock, and we were all kind of cookie cutter? Like, how would you stand out? How you stand out is in here. How you are good enough is in here. It is never going to be out here, because that is not, dare I say, it's not shelf stable, okay? Everything changes. Everything, our looks change. We get older, things change. And sometimes in good ways and sometimes in not so good ways. But you need to be okay with who you are. Welcome, Michigan Gems. Nice to see you here. And you definitely want to get rid of anything. I hate saying the phrase doesn't serve you, but I'd rather say what doesn't ascend you. Okay? Because worrying about lower vibrational things like having the perfect haircut, having the right amount of money in the bank, having these quote tangible things that when we pass away or when we go on to the next life don't go with you. So is it really feeding your soul? Probably not. They are used to feed your soul. You can do amazing things with money. You can make sure that other people are eating. You can be making sure that other people have a place to rest that is comfortable and comforting to them. But there's also people that use money and tangible things to make other people feel bad about themselves. So money, tangible items, things like that have pros and cons. So you can do amazing things with it and you can do horrible things with it. So let's get you some advice moving forward through this retrograde, Taurus, and then we'll be moving right along. But let's see what we got going on for you. Let's get you some advice moving forward with this message. Alrighty. the Judgment card here. So what I feel what's going on right now is you're needing to figure out what's going on deep down inside of you, Aries, or Taurus, I'm sorry. You really need to figure out what it is that makes you tick, that is bringing you to life. Because right now, during this Mercury retrograde period, you might be having some judgment towards you. You might be judging yourself. You might be in a place where you're like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know how I fit. I don't know. There's a lot of I don't knows, and Mercury retrograde can definitely do that to you. It can definitely make you question pretty much everything and anything. So with the Two of Wands, looking going forward, you need to make that call of what doesn't serve me, what doesn't ascend me, needs to stay behind, and I need to fixate on me and going forward and building myself up so I can go forward. And that's definitely what's going to be best suiting for you during this Mercury retrograde period. You may not have a whole lot of that whole backstory communication thing that people bring up a lot, but this is definitely a call from the universe that is telling you, hey, I want you to figure you out. I want you to tell me who you are. I want you to know who you are, and I am going to bring you these tasks and situations that are going to make you face that. You're basically going to be looking in a scrying mirror, and you're going to be figuring out who you are. So, moving right along to Gemini. Alright, Gemini, what messages does the universe have for you during this Mercury retrograde period? Alright, let's see what we got here. Okay, Gemini, Triumph of Lies. So, Triumph of Lies. Overcoming lies is what I see this card representing. Overcoming false prophets, overcoming false tongue, overcoming things that have been said about you in the past, Gemini. So let's get some clarifiers on what this means for you during this Mercury retrograde period. Overcoming lies. Let's see. Well, that didn't take too long now, did it? Alright, we have 8 of Swords. We have 6 of Cups. And we have the Knight of Wands. Alrighty. So, 8 of Wands. So, you know what? It's been a battle. It's been a battle when people say things about you that aren't true. Or when you've had to deal with somebody who's just an untruthful person. And right here, you're going to be having that introspection with the 6 of Cups right here. But it's in the reverse, so it's, you know, this person, like, right now you're going to be feeling like people are spreading horrible things about me, have spread horrible things about me, think that type of energy. And you know what, with this King of Fire right here, this King of Wands, you're going to come out of this victorious. You're going to come out of this feeling good about yourself, very much knowing that you're the better person, very much knowing who you are. You ever had somebody like sit and literally talk horrible mess about you, and you sit there and go, I'm so sick and tired of defending myself against crap. I'm so sick and tired. I know who I am, and if you care about me, you should know who I am too. And that's the type of energy I'm getting from you with this is, you know what, I don't need somebody who vibrates that low, that needs to sit, even if it's true. You know, maybe it's embellished truth. Maybe it's, you know, oh, they're this way. You know, the lies that they're spraying about you could be believable. Oh yeah, well yeah, they're this way, but you know, did you know that they're also this? And that's where the lies kind of cultivate. And you're sitting there going, wait a minute, no, I'm not that person. I'm not that. What are you talking about? And don't make these people your option. Don't sit there. Right now during these Mercury retrograde periods, we will sit there and we will go, we hate when people, everybody, all of us, we all do. We hate when people are spreading lies. We hate when people are saying things, bearing that false tongue. And it is so hard for us to not respond to that. To not sit there and say, you're full of shit, you know, and we want to do that. But sometimes when we do that, we fall right into the lying mouth situation that they're creating. Oh, they're crazy, and they'll even set the game up. It's very narcissistic-y type energy. They'll even set the game up. They'll be like, yeah, but if you say this to them, they're going to react like this. And when you react like that to the person they've lied to you about, they're going to go, oh yeah, they definitely did act like that. So what you're saying is true. When it's not. Just, you got to be careful with people. People, especially right now with this Cancer culture nonsense, where people just love to start shit for no reason other than if they can get rid of you, then you can't tell everybody all their dirty little secrets. Yeah. People can't even make a joke anymore because the cancel culture wants to make everything about them. And they want to make it safe for them. Okay? Certain things deserve to be canceled out. Okay? We all know certain things deserve to be canceled out. But there are times where I joke about my imperfections and I'm okay with that. Because if I can't joke about it, then I have to admit that it has a power over me that it doesn't deserve. So I joke about it. But, you know, if I joke about it and I'm talking about me and everybody else that's having that same situation that I'm having, who might not think it's not funny, you shouldn't joke about it. Okay, well maybe you don't joke about it, but I do. Okay? That's how I get through it. That's my therapy. But we've got this overwhelming need for everybody to fit into one box. And right here, Gemini, I'm going to tell you that you don't have to fit into a box. You don't have to absorb this situation at all. But it is going to be coming towards you during this retrograde period. And my hair is a hot mess. I'm looking at the camera and I'm like, I know I curled you. So that's what I'm seeing right here is, you know, you're going to be going through some stuff. You're going to be going through a situation where it's like, even if you've already had this period of lies happen, and you're just really going through, you need to go through what it means to you for people to know the truth. Sometimes it doesn't matter if they know the truth or not. It really doesn't. Shame on them for believing somebody else instead of figuring it out for themselves. It sucks. It sucks that we have to kind of go through that and, you know, essentially let people figure it out. But sometimes that's what needs to happen. Just keep going on with your glorious self. And let me get you a couple of cards for some advice moving forward, Gemini, in this. Because even though your outcome is a good one and you're feeling good and looking good through this BS, that probably the truth is definitely going to come out. So, I have... It's telling you not to sit there and just don't fester in it. You've got the Hanged Man in reverse, and then you have the Queen of Cups. So even though you really want to sit there and kind of fester and watch people and even defend yourself, like there are times when people are talking horrible things and we'll kind of sit there and we'll watch over it, watch their social medias, watch the people that they're talking to. Social medias will kind of waver in the distance. Don't do that, because you know, it's not going to help the situation at all. If anything, it's going to just make you emotionally vulnerable to it. So in order to go forward with this King of Wands energy, you know, you need to get right with the emotions. Okay? So don't worry about what other people are saying or doing. You know who you are. And that's the most important thing. Absolutely the most important thing. So, you take care during this retrograde, Gemini. Moving along to Cancer. Alright, Cancer. Let's see what messages the universe has for you during this Mercury retrograde period. What are some of the things you're going to be facing? Your card is this me. You might be having another introspective moment of figuring out who you are or what you are going forward with in life. Is this really who you are? Sometimes we can be having a really good life, a really good time, and we could be getting involved in stuff that looks good or feels good, but isn't truly good for us. You know, I'm partying a lot, I'm making new friends, but is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really fitting for me? You know, hanging out with a different crowd. You know, is this really what I want? Is this really the type of person I am? It could be career-based, it could be relationship-based. If somebody is making you change to suit their ego and it's not befitting of you, is that really good for you? But let's get some clarification on this. We had some stuff pop out right off the bat. Let me get one more card. Alrighty. So you know what, right now, you got the Knight of Wands, not Wands, Knight of Cups in reverse. You got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and the Five of Cups in the reverse. So right now you're literally second guessing everything. The ground is really shaky underneath of you, and what I'm seeing right now is emotionally you're not feeling good. You don't want to go forward with things. You know, opportunities aren't presenting itself the way that they should have, or maybe you took an opportunity just because you thought, hey, this felt good or it looked good, like we said, and it's really not, it really wasn't what people said it was going to be. So that's a very, very tough position to be in for certain. It's very difficult when we feel like we're wearing somebody else's skin. You know, is like the card says, is this me? You know, am I in a state of being or in a state of mind that is actually representing my true self? Am I around the people that are representing the best parts of me? Am I speaking or being the better part or the better person that I need to be? Hi, Johnny. And that's a very difficult position to be in, but you know, like I said, Mercury retrograde does represent, you know, that shadow period, and the messages that you're giving to yourself may not be the ones that are your true self. So if you're like, yeah, this new job was great, it paid really well, but it's making you do things that are degrading your character, you know, is it really the best job for you? You know, so let's get some advice moving forward. Gemini, let's get you some advice moving forward during this retrograde period. Quick shuffle. Judgment card, Six of Cups in reverse. Oh my god, this is almost identical to, what was it, Taurus? And then you have the Star card. And right now you are in a phase where you might not feel that you have options, but a judgment call does need to be made. You need to do what is ultimately in your best interest. What did you really want to be doing? Who did you really want to be? Go after your true self. Go after the thing that you wished for in life. You know what? Make that call that, you know what, I'm not going to be fake anymore. I'm not going to give to stuff that isn't representing my true authentic self. You know what? You might be standing on that hilltop completely by yourself, but it is your true self. You know, stand alone if you have to, but stand up nonetheless. Be your true authentic self. You know, and if you've had to fake it until you could make it with friends, people, jobs, or anything, that can very, very much bring down your character. And you don't really want to do that. Who wants to exist only for the applause of other people? That is never going to be the true, authentic you. It just isn't going to happen. So, definitely during this Mercury retrograde period, for you, Gemini, or for you, Cancer, I'm sorry, you definitely want to look into all aspects of your life that aren't bringing out the true you. If you have to fake yourself in any of these places, relationships, business, anything, you really want to look into that and be like, is this my true authentic me? And is it my soul that's speaking? Or am I speaking for what other people want? And it's definitely going to bring, this retrograde period is definitely going to be bringing things like that back to you for you to handle and for you to figure out where your energy's at with it, okay? So you could be having to deal with stuff from work. You might be getting, it could be a past write-up that you're like, was that my true behavior? Was that the true me? Or anything of that nature. So it's, retrograde's always a tough one, but it's definitely, when we get too far ahead of ourselves, it definitely pulls us backwards. Sometimes we always say, nope, just keep going forward. Retrograde doesn't always allow us with that, okay? So, Leo. Messages for Leo during this Mercury retrograde period. Get a card for Leo. Alright. So this card is Black Flower Fragrance. And what this means is, let me try to verbalize it. Black flower fragrance really talks about the fragrance of things that are of our deeper self. So, is the scent of a poisonous flower beautiful even though it is deadly? You know, it can be. It can just literally represent, just to keep things in a balance for yourself. So, keep things, just because it smells good and it looks good, is it good for you? That type of energy. But let's clarify this for you, okay, Leo? Clarifiers for this during your retrograde period. Alrighty. So what do I got here? I have the Five of Cups, Knight of Swords in the reverse, or in four. Knight of Swords in the upright, and the Four of Pentacles. So at this point, you're with this Four of Pentacles energy, what I'm seeing is you're not really holding on to things and, basically holding on to your assets, okay? You're kind of in the state of, I'm not really worrying about, because the Five of Cups in the traditional tarot, in the Rider-Waite system, you'll see it as, I'm going to hold it on the upright, and it's kind of represented here. See, he has the cups that are all spilt over, and then there's the ones in the back that he's not even paying attention to because he's so worried about the spilt milk. In this one, you are definitely not worried about the spilt milk. You are more concerned about what you have in your arsenal that's still there, being like, oh, everything, I have those cups spilt over, but what do I have left? And you're more consumed with that right now. And going forward with your new ideas and ambition, but you know what you need? You're not really reserving enough of yourself. And you're going to need to pay attention to that during this retrograde period, Leo. Leos are they've got that king personality, that very boisterous personality. So you really want to make sure that you're putting out the proper fragrance, okay? Don't be putting out don't be putting things out into the universe that you aren't going to be able to maintain and things like that. Don't be putting out negativity into the world. In other words, don't make your essence of you, your aura of you, one that is negative. And that might be something that you're facing right now, okay? Or that you're going to be facing during this retrograde period is, what are you putting out there? What is the scent that you are putting out there in this world? And, you know, as much as you're like, no, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to always keep going forward and keep doing me, keep doing me. Yeah, but what is it that you're doing? Okay? And wondering why people have these opinions of you that they do. It's because, are you putting out a good smell, or are you putting out a deadly odor? You know, and that's kind of what I'm seeing right here, is something that you are going to be facing very much so during this retrograde period. All right, let's get you some advice moving forward, Leo. So when one door closes, one or two or five or six always open. You have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, but you also have the Seven of Cups in the upright. So as you can see, there's all these different cups with different things in them, different opportunities. You know what? You get to choose who you wish to be, and you at any point get to shut off that period of you that portion of you that isn't representing your true authentic self. If you're like, I don't like the way this is making me appear to the world, you at any point can tell yourself, I'm just not going to behave like that, act like that, or do those things. And you get to decide from there who you want to be, what the world needs to see of you. You've got the Star card right here, and a lot of this has come up in another reading. You guys get to choose who you are wanting to be. So if you don't like the way the world has seen you before, show the world who you truly are. Pick you, and go forward with that energy. And make that decision. But when we make those choices, you definitely have to choose what you chose. And it is a work in progress every day. And during this retrograde period, it can be difficult, but it is definitely doable. All right. So we had our wonderful Leos, and now we are moving along to our wonderful Virgos. So let's get some messages for Virgo during this retrograde period. To the 12 people in the chat, I thank you all so very much for joining. If you'd be so kind as to hit that like button and share this out. It keeps me doing these streams, and it keeps you guys in the know of what the universe has in store for you. My messages, like always, are general and are for the collective, and they may not always resonate with everybody, and that's okay if it doesn't. Please check your sun, moon, and rising signs and see if those messages resonate for you. If not, there is always other readings at any time, and those messages may resonate for you then. Alrighty. Messages for Virgo during this retrograde period. Alright. Today for tomorrow is your card. And what I love about this card is it literally tells me that it's like the duality of being enough for today so you can get through tomorrow. And sometimes we have to be in today. We can't even focus on tomorrow. Sometimes focusing on the up and coming, sometimes focusing on even 2 steps ahead of yourself is a bit much. So you need to worry about what's going on today, and less of like, oh, well, I'm going to be this amazing rock star. That's my goal. Blah, blah, blah. But you're not paying your bills today. So that's what a lot of people don't realize is having a dream of tomorrow means you're not really holding things down today. Okay? So let's get some clarifiers for this card. Today for tomorrow. Because if we're good enough today, we'll likely be good enough tomorrow. So let's get some clarifiers for that for you, my wonderful Virgos. Ooh, alrighty. We have the Eight of Pentacles with the Nine of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune card. Okay, so right now, working hard. That hard, I love the way that card looks. It is so pretty. You have it in reverse. But it is like the prettiest card in representing the Eight of Pentacles. But Nine of Wands, going forward, just running through that race. You're always on the go. You're always trying to chase the tomorrow. You're always trying to, if I can handle it today, I can handle it tomorrow. And you know what? That's okay. It works for you. It really does, Virgo. But remember that you gotta be good enough. You personally have got to be good enough in order to keep that fire and momentum going. If you keep running up that hill, fatigue will set in. Make sure you are feeding you so that you can continue running that race. Okay? And right now, during this retrograde period, you are definitely figuring out what works today in conjunction with what works tomorrow. All right? So let me see if I can find some more messages here that I may have missed. Don't discredit your hard work either during this retrograde period. Sometimes we don't communicate properly to even our own souls of what we should be. You need to be telling yourself that you're doing a good job, Virgo. You need to start believing that. You need to start believing that the effort that you put into everything is definitely going to pay forward. And it always does, but when you're in the process of it, don't you sometimes sit there and go, oh my God, I just hope this is enough. I hope I'm doing the right thing. I hope I'm doing the right thing. Even though you know in your heart of heart that you are definitely doing the right thing. And you're definitely always putting your best effort forward, and you're definitely always putting the good into it. But sometimes we take things a step at a time, right? We take it moment by moment. And I know a lot of Virgos that definitely do that, even though they love hitting the ground running. But at this moment, Virgo, I think it's telling you need to slow down and you need to worry about one step at a time, which is difficult, isn't it? Let's get some advice moving forward for Virgo during this retrograde period. Took a moment. So I have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, Seven of Fire, which is Seven of Wands in reverse, and Sagittarius. So the Temperance card in reverse. Okay. What I'm going to tell you right here, Virgo, is you are impatient as impatient can possibly be. And right now, along with everything else, Mercury Retrograde is going to teach you patience. It is going to teach you patience for the process, and you're going to hate every second of it. But at the same time, as much as you hate it, you're going to kind of glide through it. All right? And that's how I see it, is like you're not going to resist it. You're not going to be like pissing in the wind here. because you know what that's like, but you're like, here comes the damn wind, and you're letting it happen. But at the same time, it's the reason you're letting it happen is because you know that you can get through it, whatever it may be. So this Mercury retrograde period is definitely going to teach you patience, big time. Patience, patience, patience. Patience for your faults and failures, but to be patient with yourself through them, during them. And you have a hard time with that because Virgos like to cover every imperfection up. You strive so hard to get through things, to elevate others, to elevate yourself, but at the same time, you're like, no, I will clean up that mess. I will get that mess cleaned up. That mess won't even exist. Sometimes the universe says, hey, messes exist, and you don't always have to clean up every single one of them. Sometimes you just have to say, okay. Hey, Paranormal Polynesian, hi. And sometimes you have to be okay with that. Sometimes you have to be okay with messes on the floor because you need to pay attention to a greater thing. You need to pay attention to the bigger picture. And those little messes can sidetrack you because your Virgos are very particular. They like things in order. They like things to go at a very steady pace. They love things to be in proper alignment and proper order. Sometimes things happen, and you need to learn how to apply your energy towards the greater picture and not just these little small loopholes. Make sense? Hopefully it does. All right, moving along to Libra. Messages for our Libra gang during this wonderful Mercury retrograde period. Let's see what things are going to be coming up for you. Okay, Libra, what is the message for you? What are you going to be facing during Mercury retrograde period? Let's see. The temple of my body. So what I'm seeing from this, in that shadow aspect, is, are you really truly taking care of your temple? Thank you for that, Amy. Because a lot of us, we tend to sit there and say, yeah, I'll be fine. I feel okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And we don't really do the things that we need to be doing for our bodies and taking care of them. Proper nutrition, getting out in the sun, taking care of the things we need to be taking care of, especially right now with all that is going on health-wise. We'll call it that. Making sure that our immune systems are doing the best they can for us, things like that. But also making sure that you're respecting your body, and I mean, making sure that you are not letting other people take advantage of it. Okay, that's also another underlining for that card. All right, but let's get some clarifiers on this. Okay, Libra. All right, I have the Ten of Cups, the King of Wands, and then the Page of Wands in the reverse. So, Ten of Cups is complete and utter fulfillment, complete and utter emotional fulfillment. Like, you can't get any higher. This is just like perfection right here. And then with the King of Wands, or in this case, King of Fire, because it goes by elements here, you're definitely like, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. But make sure you're doing as much as you can, because with the Page of Fire in reverse, you might be missing something, okay? Thinking that I look good, I feel good, everything's amazing, we can always be missing that one little thing. Maybe you're not getting enough movement because you think, like, I look good, everything feels good, but right now during Mercury retrograde, it's telling you, you need to take charge of your body 110%, because you don't want to be caught up in something that you can't fix later. You want to be able to fix it now. So you want to make sure your body is a fine-tuned organism for you that can do what you needed to do at any given time, that can literally face the fire. Okay? So let's get some advice moving forward through retrograde for you. Okie dokie. Two of Swords, so balance. Everything in proper balance. Making that decision to balance yourself. You know, this is a big decision-making time. You need to figure out what, you need to look really deep and figure out what it is that you need to be focusing on within you during this Mercury retrograde period. Making sure that you're, also your mind, you know, it's not our body. We always say, you know, our body is, you know, just the physical appearance and stuff like that. But the temple of your body can also represent the way we spiritually manifest through our body. So that can also do with our mind and things like that, making sure that our body's putting good out and receiving good in at all times. So really, you know, really taking care of yourself. This is what I see from this Four of Pentacles right here, is, you know, making sure that you're conserving yourself, getting enough sleep, getting enough water, getting enough of your macronutrients and your micronutrients, all those things. And right here you have Five of Cups. So if something isn't going great for you, I don't want you to focus on like, hey, you know, it's never been good in the past, so I only focus on this portion. I want you to pay attention to any little minute things that you could be missing, those underlying conditions, okay? Because that's going to be the best thing for you, is not to pay attention to what you can't accomplish, but what you definitely can, okay? So that's an interesting one. Typically during Mercury retrograde, we get a lot of, you know, like I said, that backwards energy as far as communication, things like that. But maybe, you know, we need to take it a step further and realizing communication also isn't just something that's verbal. Communication can also come from our bodies, our mind, our systematics be communicating with us, and we're missing it during this time period. And this is telling you that to really listen to the communication of your body and try not to misinterpret it. Alrighty. So moving from Libra, going right on to our Scorpios. Alright. Messages for Scorpio during this Mercury retrograde period. Alright, messages for Scorpio. Alright, gilded regret. All that glitters isn't always gold, is it? So sometimes we make decisions that come back and bite us in the butt. And sometimes we make things that we're like, oh, I could have done that differently. It felt good at the time, alright? So let's see what messages are coming through for Scorpio in conjunction with this card during Mercury retrograde. What is that past energy that they need to be paying attention to? Okay, so I have Three of Wands, so you know what, I think during this time you're really going to need to ground yourself, because you got Queen of Pentacles and Ten of Cups right here, but you also have the Three of Wands, so it's that non-looking forward energy. Like, what I'm seeing is this, what I'm actually feeling, Scorpio, from you, is this heaviness and regret of the things that you didn't do properly in the past. Alright, you know, you've kind of just shielded yourself and was like, you know what, I'm fine, you know, and this is all doing great, you know, that everything's fine, yay. And you know what, you're sitting there going, okay, I went forward with what felt good and looked good. And maybe not a whole lot of bad happened in regards to that, but there is some unfinished business regarding in the most probably consider, you know, from the time period of the last retrograde going into this one, you probably made a decision. You've had something happen that you were like, okay, I didn't quite pay attention to the way it would make other people feel, or I didn't pay attention to what would be occurring in my world, you know, when I made this decision, the future events that would be occurring in my world. And you didn't quite take those into consideration because, you know, you were going with the things that felt really good at the time, and they all did. They were all beneficial to you. And you've got this one section that didn't quite move along with everything else in the perfect circle of everything. So while we feel great with everything, while we are doing amazing, there is that little area of regret. Because is there something I missed out on? Did I not, you know, give people what they needed from me? In that sense of, you know, could be family members, could be a lot of things. This might also be a period, you know, where we have a lot of people that are getting sick. And for some reason, Scorpio, what I'm feeling from this is even though you moved forward with the decisions in this time period that were great, that were very gilded and golden and sparkly and awesome, there is going to be a little element of something that's going to throw you backwards during this period. So let's get some advice moving forward. Something that really keeps you from going 100% into your current placement is what I'm seeing from that Three of Wands. Advice moving forward. So you have the Four of Wands, which is amazing energy. You also have the Magician, and then you have the King of Cups in reverse. You know, you're going to have to be a little bit clever during this Mercury retrograde, because everything that's happening right now, you know, it may not feel like it, but it is happening for your greater good, and it's definitely not going to feel good. You've got this King of Cups in reverse. You're not going to please everybody, and there's a point where you have to tell yourself, like, my decisions, my actions, what I put out there is, I gotta do what's good for me. I gotta do ultimately what's best for me, but at the same time, you're definitely balancing things. And you're not gonna be balancing them bad, but you're gonna have to tell yourself, you're gonna go through the shadow period of, you know, did I make the right judgment calls at the right time? And it's going to kind of throw you around a little bit. And yeah, you're not going to impress everybody. You're not going to make everybody's day. You're just not. But be clever. It's going to teach you definitely to be clever, Scorpio. And Scorpios are naturally clever. So this is really going to bring it out even stronger. Being a Scorpio, being that you have that ability to really control your element, to control emotion, make people feel good, make people feel bad, because Scorpios can do that. You really want to pay attention to the way you're using that tactic. But you're clever enough to understand how to do that, and you're clever enough to put it into play. Use everything about you and everything you got. Understand the purpose of all this and what it means for you going forward. So that's definitely what I'm seeing. All right. And another message I'm getting from this is you can, Scorpio with gilded regret, Scorpios can polish it. You guys can polish a turd, okay? You guys can make a shitty situation into a good one. And that's kind of what it's trying to teach you during this. You're going to have to make those just, you know, you're going to have to utilize everything about you and everything that you got to make these decisions that you have made and things you've been through in the past, and the most recent past is what I'm getting, and utilize everything about you in order to make them okay. So that's what I'm getting from you, Scorpio. It's kind of a hodgepodge message, but I think Scorpios will understand. Alrighty, moving along to Sagittarius. Alright, Sagittarius. Oh, okay. Right off the bat. Alright, and Atonement. Atonement. This is definitely a card that is going to teach you about your resilience. Okay, you're going to be learning. Ooh, that's a tough one during Mercury retrograde, is learning what your resilience is. Okay, so let's get some clarity on this for our wonderful Sagittarius gang. Alrighty. King of Wands in reverse, Ten of Wands in reverse, and yet the Justice card. You're going to be faced with learning that not everything feels good. You're going to realize that, this is definitely going to take you. You're going to have to go through a hard emotional period with this retrograde. It is going to literally drain you emotionally. And for whatever reason, it's doing it for the betterment and balance of you. Maybe you went through a period of like come what may and you didn't quite understand that, there's consequences to every action that you go through, or maybe you didn't realize that, in acting like you were so amazing and you weren't treating people the way that they deserve to be treated. So Mercury retrograde is going to send you backwards, and you got to go balance everything back out. If you wronged somebody because you were being, just a nasty person, you weren't being compassionate towards their feelings, things like that, it is literally sending you backwards to fix it. And you have to be in sync with that. You have to learn that that is what this retrograde period is doing for you. So you're going to have to make that amendment list, and you're going to need to make amends with some stuff. People that you stabbed in the back, maybe people that have stabbed you in the back, things like that. Let's give you some advice moving forward. Let's give you some advice going through with this. So you have the Two of Wands in the reverse, King of Earth, so King of Pentacles, and the Empress card. Look, you can't go forward until you handle what put you backwards. And that's basically what this is preparing you for, and what this is the path it's putting you through. Coming through this, you're going to be definitely more grounded. You're going to have a stronger understanding for yourself, a stronger understanding for the why of you doing what you did, or why it happened to you the way it did. And you're going to be a far more intuitive and conjoined person. You're going to understand things. You're going to understand why it happened the way it happened. You're going to be able to prevent it. You're going to be able to be a better person. You're going to have more empathy. You're going to be able to be all those things that you need to be, because you know what it's like to be forged through fire. Alrighty. Moving right along to our wonderful Capricorns. So this current Mercury retrograde, like I stated in the beginning, starts off in Aquarius, but it does end in Capricorn, because it will switch off around the 25th, the 24th or the 25th. And so it's going to make us question all of those grounding energies, all those things that, the tangibilities of things, stuff like that. So Capricorn, let's see what messages, what's coming your way during this Mercury retrograde. So you have colorless angel. So you're going to have to look at your blessings. You're going to have to look at your messages. You're going to have to look at everything. It's not going to be transparent. It's going to be very well hidden. It's not going to have this pizzazz. You're not going to have this exciting moment of clarity during this Mercury retrograde. You're not going to come out of it going, okay, I totally understood. I think things are going to come in a slippery slope, kind of like a built-up snowball type atmosphere for you during this retrograde. It's going to test things. This could also be draining of you. But I'm more or less feeling that these are going to be blessings in disguise, lessons in disguise. So let's get some. Okay. King of Swords, Page of Earth in reverse, and Nine of Pentacles in reverse. So lessons are going to be taught to you, Capricorn, in the sense of how to handle things in your waking world that you kind of backburn. You know, you being Capricorns being so dominant in their earth energy, in their stubbornness, in their ability to cultivate money and handle their assets in the areas that you didn't handle properly. Maybe you didn't put enough money away for something, and you know this Mercury retrograde is going to teach you, like, emergencies happen and you need to handle those. You need to put yourself in that alignment where, yeah, you're not going to be able to control everything that the wind brings in, but you need to be prepared for the wind. And that's something a Capricorn naturally does. So for those that didn't do that, or in the situations where you didn't do that, this is definitely going to be testing those modules. You've got that King of Swords, so you are a wise person. You know, and you also need to be listening to people that are of wiser tongues, older people, you know, not necessarily older people, but you know, people who have the wisdom, who have been through these situations. You want to lean on those, and it's going to teach you that as well. It's going to teach you not to give things with this Page of Pentacles in the reverse. Don't give situations that need more of you the bare minimum of you. Because what happens with stuff like that is, instead of having your Nine of Pentacles in the upright, you end up having it in reverse. If you give something half-assed, the universe gives half-assed back to you. And that is not the becoming of a Capricorn. That has never been the becoming of a Capricorn's energy. Alright, so let's get some advice moving forward for you, Capricorn. Advice moving forward through this Mercury retrograde. Right. Five of Pentacles in the upright. We also have the Strength card, and we have the Seven of Pentacles. All right, so everything that you are going to go through during this particular, and I hate saying I'm a Capricorn, we are a strong breed. We really, truly are. And we know our strengths, and our strengths are always tested at all times, and I hate that. You know, we know we're strong. We don't need to be proven it, but unfortunately, yes, we do, because keeping us on our toes is what keeps us strong. So, Five of Pentacles with the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. You need to find out, you don't need to find out, but you're going to be tested in the sense of, like, how hard you can work on something, how smart you can be about something, the tangibilities of things. You need to rely on your strengths, on what you do know, because everything with its inconsistencies right now, it's going to teach you to rely on your strengths right now, for sure. And unfortunately, we always have that happen. That is something that happens with Capricorns a lot, but definitely during this Mercury retrograde you're going to find out, it's, once again, you're going to be testing your strengths, but your strengths are going to be tested, but they're going to be tested in that way that is so frequent for us, but so draining. because it's definitely testing our resilience. It's testing our abilities to be resourceful. You know, if we backtracked on any area and we didn't quite, you know, secure that edge, it's going to basically blow that dirt back up in our face and make us deal with it, so that we don't have to be, so we don't have to deal with it in the future. It's going to remind us why we know why we're supposed to do what we're supposed to do. Alrighty, Aquarius. Messages for Aquarius for this current Mercury retrograde period. Alright. Peaceful among the thorns. I think that message really does speak for itself, but, you know, even though things are out to get you, you're going to be tested in that sense of remaining calm for things that are out for you, things that can hurt, things that may have consequences, you know, but finding that inner balance and that inner peace, even though, you know, it's going to happen. So let's get some clarifiers for you. The Judgment card, the Emperor in reverse, and the Star card, all major arcana. Wow. And this Mercury retrograde starting off in your sign of Aquarius, this is a pretty good deal. And then you have, this is Aquarian energy with the Star card. So, you know what, things are going to get harsh. Anything that's been really heavy for you in the past, I'm going to go from anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Anything that's been really heavy for you, it's going to teach you not to be so hard on yourself, because there's a lot of things that are out of our control, that are out of our wheelhouses, and yeah, you need to figure out that not everything that you wish for and everything that you want comes your way. It's going to test things that are out of your control. What I'm seeing here is, because this is such all major arcana energy, these are definitive, like almost like 10 commandments, but 3 commandments here. It's going to teach you to make better judgment calls. It's going to teach you to not be so hard on yourself. It's also going to teach you to not live in the wish factor. These are all the major things that are going to be coming your way. Finding peace amongst those things. Finding peace amongst your inner workings and almost, dare I say, your inner demons. Not letting those things control you. Not letting past energy control you. Past situations that have harmed you. Things that would, you know, incite PTSD, if you will. So, childhood traumas. Things like that. Not necessarily that those are going to be coming back per se, but those things that trigger those things. That might definitely be some lessons for you. Things of learning how to, remain calm in your chaos. So let's get some advice moving forward for you, Aquarius. Alright. I have 6 of Swords, so that moving on. Moving on energy. It's definitely going to teach you to move on, move forward. And I have the 8 of Cups in the reverse and the 3 of Wands in the reverse. So it is going to take you backwards into those troubling times that you just couldn't move forward from. It's going to teach you how to move forward from them. So, Aquarius, that's some heavy energy. But with retrograde starting off in your sign, I'm not surprised. But definitely be kind to yourself. Definitely be kind to yourself during this retrograde, because I hate saying it's going to come for you, but it is, and it's going to come for you in a way that is going to growth hurts, stretching hurts, and to be stretched is difficult, but this stretch is good for you. It's going to snap you out of comfort zones. It is going to do all those things that we don't like, but coming out of it, you're going to feel 1,000 times better, because you're going to have the knowledge of why. You're going to have the knowledge of, okay, I don't want that to happen like that ever again, and now you know how to prevent it. Okay? Alrighty. So, messages for Pisces. Let me give you a couple of shuffles on this. So, Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. Let's see what messages we have for Pisces for Mercury Retrograde. You also have this is this me? Alrighty. So, I can't remember which other sign had that card too, but it's going to deal with that inner reflection of what about, are you being the genuine you in everything that you do? It's going to make you reflect on that. Okay, let's get some clarity for Pisces. Let's clarify this for Pisces. If you're not married, this could be things that you're passionate about. It's going to bend and stretch on things that you're passionate about. Definitely wanting you to take that approach in the sense of knowing and listening to that higher authority, and not always being head over heart. Okay? That's definitely what it's going to make you learn in this. And then you have the Hierophant. So, we have it in reverse. So this can mean, the Hierophant in reverse can mean divorces when you have the Lover's card in reverse. So it just could also mean the separation of passionate things you're passionate about. And it's going to teach you to be more wise through them. So, like I said, if you're married, this could be dealing with, the separation of, the residual energy from a divorce, or from a separation of physical lovers, but it also can mean the separation of things that you're passionate about, things that you separated from. Maybe you used to be in a band, maybe you used to be a painter, maybe you used to do all these things that you were passionate about, and you had to leave them for one reason or another, and it is actually going to make you figure out, like, what are you doing? What are you putting yourself through? Is this bringing out the true and genuine you? Or have you made peace with these past energies? But let's get some advice moving forward for you during Mercury Retrograde. What is this advice moving forward with this? We have the Three of Cups, we have the Five of Cups, and we have the King of Fire, so the King of Wands. So, Three of Cups, that celebration energy, you have it in reverse. You're not really feeling it, you're not really enjoying, the things that you once had passion and enjoyment in. But you know what? We also need to stop living in that energy of failure. We need to stop living in that energy of things went away, ruined, passed away on us, passed us up. You need to remember that there is good in you. There's things. You're a fiery person, Pisces. You have amazing attributes about you. You have amazing qualities. You have great things about you that, you don't have to remember, like, oh, I went through a divorce because I'm unlovable. I went through the separation of something because I'm not worthy of it. This Mercury retrograde wants you to pay attention to the things that you thought you were unworthy of, and really pay attention to the inside of you, because you need to figure out that you are definitely worthy of great things. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So maybe you went through a divorce because it was time for you to clear the space for the true love that you need to be inviting in. But if you're going to act like a hermit and hide from it, it's not going to come through. You have to learn how to open up and be willing for that energy. And this retrograde might be teaching you how to do that, might be teaching you how to sweep your porch so that your door is appealing for that to come through. Alrighty. So those are the messages that I have for everyone during this Mercury retrograde period. And if you rewind back to the beginning of the video, we talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do to kind of help ground ourselves through that, through this period, and keep us in alignment. Like I said, we can do daily cleansings, we can do things that just keep us really on our tip top as much as possible. But also the things to avoid, like I said, making sure that we're checking all of our text messages before we send them. Make sure that we understand the energy that we're putting forth in the messages that we're sending out, because they can easily be corrupted and misconstrued. Also being wary of contractual things, making sure that you're really, really looking through everything that you're getting involved in, because sometimes during Mercury retrograde, we tend to not do that. We tend to just sit there and go, oh yes, I know that I want to buy this car, and we sign off and then not realizing like everything that we agreed to. And so when something bad happens with it, it's like we have to go back and look at our contract and realize what we got ourselves into. And that can be the case all across the board with everything. So with all that being said, I want to thank you all for coming to this reading, and hopefully we do more readings like this. I'm kind of testing the waters to see where I want to kind of go with additional readings that are not just like the weekly reading. So with this being the Mercury retrograde reading, this qualifies for January 14th all the way to February 3rd, because that is the end of Mercury retrograde, and then you go into post shadow, and that lasts up until about probably the 20th or so. But we also have February 1st being the Lunar New Year, or Chinese New Year, so I think I want to do some readings regarding that. And we also have the full moon coming up on the 17th, so I will be doing a full moon reading for everybody, and you guys can be looking forward to that. I'll probably do it on the evening of the full moon, so probably the evening of the 17th. That is our cold moon, is what it's officially called, and it is at its peak at 6:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. So yeah, so we'll have another reading coming up on the 17th, and then every Monday we have our weekly forecast, our weekly tarot forecast for the all signs. So if there is something that you guys would like to hear from me more, or a type of reading you guys would like me to do, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. But I think that all my messages have come through, and I want to thank you all once again for being here and being so supportive. Please make sure to hit the like button, and like I said, leave a comment below, letting me know how this reading resonated with you and if you liked it or not, and suggestions towards any other types of reading you'd like to see. The monthly sign readings are being recorded, and they will be coming out shortly. And once again, thank you all for being here.